Hello and welcome to a very special trip report. This is flight number 11 of my round the world tour, and I'm flying today with Cathay Pacific from Hong Kong to New York JFK in first class. It's going to be great. Let's go check it out.
Before we start, let's discuss the unusual nature of this flight. Cathay operate 3 non-stop flights a day to JFK, but a fourth, Cathay 888, stops en route at Vancouver. The total mileage of this flight is 8,835 miles. Including the stop in Vancouver, it'll take over 18 hours. We'll see 2 sunrises, yet still arrive on the same morning we left.
So one of the really cool things about flying from Hong Kong Airport is that you can check in your bags downtown at 2 of the airport express stations.
Cathay Pacific have 2 of the world's most incredible first-class lounges at Hong Kong. The airy, brash Wing Lounge is complemented by the Pier, which is a subdued and classy affair. I don't get too excited about lounges, but made an exception for these. There's so much to show you about these 2 different but brilliant spaces that I'll review them separately in future videos. Cathay Pacific have earned a strong reputation for luxury travel, so my expectations for these lounges were sky high. I was definitely not disappointed. My personal highlights were the foot massage service and the world-class food and drink in the Pier. The restaurant here is absolutely stunning, with personal service to match. Finally, in the wing lurks something quite special, a private cabana complete with a stunning deep bath.
It's safe to say that this is my favourite airport amenity ever.
My flight leaves just after midnight. The airport is full of aircraft heading west to Europe at this time, making the most of the time difference, travelling overnight. I can't begin to tell you how exciting it was to see my 777-300ER aircraft arrive from a remote stand. We'll be heading east, of course. Boarding is organised and straightforward. First class has its own line. As I board, let's reflect on the cost of this trip. A one-way first class ticket costs an astonishing £14,000. Fortunately, there's another way to pay. I parted with 140,000 avios, which I'd saved up over a few years. I also had to pay the relevant fees, in this case just £44. Hi there. Thank you very much. Yes, please. Thank you so much. I don't claim to know much about champagne or even like it too much, but Cathay serve Krug 2004 in first class, which retails for about £250 a bottle. That's an astonishing price for a drink, but I'll admit it did taste incredible. The head of the cabin crew personally introduced herself and took an early order for dinner. I'll show you the full menu later. Cathay's first-class suites are quite a few years old now and lack the ultimate privacy of a closing door, but are absolutely huge. The video clip doesn't do it justice here. Seats on the A side are preferred. This is because there's a solid wall next to the aisle and the central seats don't look into your space. You can spend the whole flight in your seat and not be aware of any other passengers on the aircraft. Immediately behind us is business class. Pyjamas are also delivered before takeoff, shortly followed by an amenity kit, both of which we'll look at later. There are some good quality Bose headphones too, and here's the first of many hot towels on this flight. As you can see, legroom is definitely not a problem here in first class.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of Cathay Pacific and my team.
As we depart Hong Kong, I'll show you the features of the seat. There's a reasonably sized entertainment screen which swings out from its stow space. There's no shortage of useful storage either, with everything within easy reach. The remote controls the screen as well as the call bell and some other functions, and there are powerful reading lights too. There's USB and universal power outlets, and also a good sized ottoman. It's worth pointing out that a second person can join you in the suite for meals by sitting on the ottoman, which is why there's a seatbelt here. All the seat features are intuitive and sensible. Even the life vest is much easier to reach than it would be in economy. The first class bathroom is pleasant and comes with some very nice toiletries.
One of my pro tips for flying long haul business or first class is to change into pyjamas, which they usually give you, as soon as you can. Seatbelt sign's just gone off, so let's find out exactly what the Cathay Pacific pyjamas are like. I quite like them. They are really comfortable, although I don't think I'm going to win any fashion competitions anytime soon in these. I like the Chinese collar though.
Turbulence prevented me from enjoying my tea, but fortunately my nuts were undisturbed. Let's have a look at the menu, or skip ahead if you prefer. Of course, I ordered the caviar, which came with a free serving of choppy turbulence and a mother-of-pearl spoon. There must be a way of eating caviar in a dignified way, but I've yet to find it. Next up is the soup, which was excellent. The best advice I can give you on how not to spill expensive wine during turbulence is to remove it from the glass as quickly as you can. The dinner on this flight was outstanding, and I mixed up some of the Western and Chinese choices for variety. There's not much point in travelling if you don't try at least some of the local food. The entertainment choices on Cathay Pacific are very extensive. Despite the incredibly long flight time, there was no risk of running out of things to watch or games to play. Here's the amenity kit, which I gave away to a lucky follower on Instagram. It's smart and contains everything you need. I'm pleased to see more airlines including a screen wipe in amenity kits these days. It's easy for airlines to deliver on big things like 5-course meals and miss small basics like this. It's time for bed, just as the first sunrise appears on the horizon. The crew provide turn-down service. The seat folds flat into a bed, and a mattress topper and bedding complete the setup. This bed is the best I've ever had on a moving vehicle. I had no problem at all getting a solid 6 hours of uninterrupted sleep. I woke up about 3 hours from Vancouver, south of Alaska. Cathay Pacific crew have access to a CCTV camera overlooking the cabin. This means they can see when you wake up. In my case, they asked me before I went to bed what my preferred drink was when waking up, and brought it to me 6 hours later when they saw I was awake. Breakfast was as fresh and delicious as dinner was. Like many Asian carriers, Cathay get the presentation spot on. If I could mark Cathay Pacific down on just one small thing here, it would be presenting the yoghurt in its original packaging. I reckon it'd look better in a small bowl. However, I'm not sure they need tips from someone who watches the League of Gentlemen with his breakfast. Our approach to Vancouver is smooth and we land right on time.
Okay, so here we are in Vancouver, the end of part one. My flight leaves again for New York in about an hour and 20 minutes time. So we're in a transit lounge. I can't actually show you the whole lounge because sort of behind the camera is a security check. The United States requires that even though I've cleared security back in Hong Kong, that all passengers be re-screened prior to getting on the aircraft to New York. So I can't really show you the whole lounge, otherwise I'm going to unintentionally film the security, which is not a good idea. But yeah, there's pretty much nothing here. It's just basically a gate area. There's a Tim Hortons concession there, so you know you're in Canada, but it's not manned. Anyway, it's just coming up to 9 p.m. in the evening now, and I've just got to wait here for an hour and kill some time. Probably going to go on my Instagram stories. You should definitely follow me on Instagram. If you don't already, I live blog all of my trips through the Instagram stories function.
So off we go on the final 5-hour stretch to JFK with a new crew and new catering. It's also time for another meal. This crab starter was simply incredible and probably the most photogenic food I've ever had on a plane. This was followed by a light pea soup and a stunning fillet of beef. This was cooked medium rare, exactly how I'd ordered. Steak is something I do know something about, and I can safely say this was very good indeed. A small glass of port and banana cake completes my food odyssey. Overall, the food on board was outstanding. Our second sunrise happens over Canada, and we have a glorious run down into New York. Incidentally, the Cathay on Board magazine tells us that their Washington DC route is their longest, pipping us by 81 miles. So what more can I add? I cleared out my entire stash of Avios points to secure this flight. 140,000 Avios could have bought me 17 weekends in Paris, but I'm glad I blew them on this flight. It's not every day you get to fly in this kind of style, although it is worth mentioning that getting into this cabin using miles is easier than you'd think. You do need to save miles hard, but availability is usually very good. Personally, I think this is one of the best uses of Avios points out there. Cathay Pacific First Class is simply wonderful. It doesn't come with the glitzy obscenity of some Middle Eastern carriers, but from the lounges to boarding, flying, sleeping, eating, you name it, it's calm, understated, classy and thoughtful. If you ever get the chance, do it.
And that's it. Welcome to John F. Kennedy's Terminal 8. I've been privileged to land in a very unseasonably mild and dry New York City, which is a relief after going around Southeast Asia in all that humidity for the last week. I really hope that you've enjoyed coming with me on that fantastic trip. Please leave some comments below, give me a thumbs up, and I really hope that you'll subscribe to the channel. Until next time, see you around.